Welcome to Down to Dunk. I'm your host, Andrew Schlechter, part of the Athletic Podcast Network. With me on a Thursday, it's Taylor.
Hey, howdy doody, Trudy.
No song.
Howdy doody, Trudy.
What is Howdy Doody Trudy? And special guest, Rylan Stiles of the Locked on Thunder podcast. Rylan, what's up?
What's up, Andrew? What's up, Taylor?
What's up, man? I just learned Rylan is a big Elvis guy.
Yeah, I thought you were going to sing an Elvis song.
I don't know Elvis stuff.
You don't know any Elvis songs.
Let's see.
You got the one Elvis song.
I don't know. I'll keep rolling, 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 rolling. What?
Not an Elvis song, but good Elvis voice. On a recent episode of Locked on Thunder, I actually said that Andrew is the best Elvis impersonator.
Oh, really? This is weird. Go, Andrew.
Oh, I'm not a good Elvis impersonator at all.
I think the question was more about the look. Who could pull it off in Vegas? And I narrowed it down between Andrew and Gallo. What put Andrew ahead was his hair is more moldable. He can mold that hair into an exact Elvis.
That's true. You have good length on top.
Yeah.
Where do you get your haircut? Supercuts?
Pro clips.
Sports clips.
No,
Check.
No, we have a friend her name is Kat, and she comes up, she cuts all of our hair.
Oh, that's right. You told me.
Yeah.
You used to be a sports clips guy.
I used to be a coupon guy.
Oh,
which I would go wherever I had a coupon, which I have never, Luke has been disgusted by like a lot of things that I've done through the years because we've been friends for so long. It was that moment that I knew Luke lost all respect for me.
Yeah. I respect coupon people, but just following wherever a coupon leads you to get your hair cut is a different level.
I have a very, very simple haircut too. So, Rylan, move closer to your mic for me. Give it a little check.
Check.
Do it again.
Check.
Get right up on these babies.
Yeah, we're on them.
I want to
All
see your spit on this by the end of the
All right,
podcast.
good.
Hopefully not.
Yeah. Right up on. Okay. Are there any leftover thoughts from the Sam Presti press conference that you guys would like to talk about? Taylor, you haven't talked about it. Rylan, you talked about it on Locked on Thunder. You haven't talked about it here. Anything that like really stuck out to you guys about the Presti presser?
I think that it's kind of been belabored at this point. Like, we're not going to unearth any sort of plan that he has going forward. And I think that he left himself open to being able to pull off anything that you envision him doing this summer. You're going to be able to, once it's over, go back and pull a quote from it that supports like, oh, we should have known way back when that he was going to do this or he was not going to do this. So I just think that there's not all that much to truly take away from it.
I just am loving this Gordon Hayward beef. That's not really beef. It's not really beef. You went on Twitter yesterday. I thought this was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And you wanted to make sure that all the context was that all of the quotes around Gordon Hayward were there.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was one specific quote that's kind of been taken and spun, and ESPN has turned it into something as well.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe someone that's very closely connected to Gordon has made this a bigger deal than it was too.
It's
He's
so weird.
more connected to Gordon than she is after 7 kids.
Who are you talking about?
Wow. His wife probably can't get
His
more
wife? Oh, I wasn't going to bring up the wife, Rylan.
Well, we do things a little differently.
We do. Welcome to a fry pod, man. That's fry pod
Just happy
energy
to
right
be
there.
here.
No, so I don't know if you what was bothering. Why did you tweet that?
Yeah,
thread?
what really got your goat about that?
Well, I just think that people didn't understand the context of what he was trying to say. They took like the one quote and like they made basically like Instagram, memes, photos, whatever you want about it. And it was just like, it had nothing really to do with what he was trying to say. He wasn't trying to say, I made a mistake making the trade.
Yeah.
Because he talked about how it was like, the reasons that he did the trade, there were like lots of factors as to why he did the trade. And I think he would have done it anyways.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, and I've said this many times on the show, that even after all of this, he still would have done the trade over again. He wasn't saying that I regret doing the trade, I shouldn't have done it. He would have done it over again.
Yeah.
I think what he miscalculated was how hard it was going to be to bring him into the team midseason. And that's what he missed on. Like, that's the thing that he missed on. He didn't miss on the trade itself. I think the Thunder still very much like the trade that happened. And so, and all of that is about clearing the cap space. He brought that up a lot during the press conference. So I don't think he regrets doing the trade or he made a mistake doing the trade, but he made a mistake like miscalculating how hard it would be to bring somebody in midseason.
Yeah, and that's going to be really hard, especially like with the way the Thunder play. And I think that really just hits on the head of, first of all, we love drama in the NBA more than we love the game sometimes. And this is like the one little morsel of drama that you can have in Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
And so people just want to pounce on it and like make it into this soap opera, when in reality, they did not really care what the production level was from Gordon Hayward. Obviously, if it was good production, then that's awesome, and that's what you would hope for. But it not being good production was never going to doom this team. Like, this team was always going to go as far as the young guys took them. It took them to the second round. And even though it didn't work out, you still have the cap space. He was never going to come back. Like, this was never going to be a marriage more than just the last half of the year. So none of it really matters how good or bad he was production-wise. And the Thunder pivoted away from him in the rotation, and they kind of went from there. So I think that it was, overall, Sam Presti's point was, this was a trade that was kind of like a just salary dump, so to say. But we thought maybe we can get something more out of it and play him, and it ended up not being able to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's the part that I keep thinking about is, all right, we were going to do this trade anyway. This was about clearing space for this summer, all of that, right? But then you look at, well, there was clearly a lot of discussion about giving him enough time over players that have been on this team to see if he can be part of the rotation here at the end of this and through the postseason. And I think that's the part that I'm like kind of getting stuck on is, it feels like maybe there's this downplay on like, Gordon Hayward was, he was whatever. He was a cherry on top or what, but then you took away minutes from guys that have been here for a long time and guys that could have been good. Kenrich, there's guys on the bench that
Wiggins certainly lost
definitely
because of him.
Yeah. And so I find that part kind of interesting of, well, it seems like maybe there were some deeper conversations about giving Gorward. Well, I guess that's what I'm calling him now.
Hopefully the last pod we ever talk about him. So
yeah,
it's good.
No, we probably won't. This is the only drama we have. So we got to juice this. We got to squeeze this Gorward juice.
This gourd nut.
This Gordon Nut. Welcome to the Fry Pod, man. You know exactly what you're coming on to, don't you?
Baby.
There we go. But do you know what I'm saying though?
Yeah.
It's like why are we if it wasn't that big of a deal, then why did you make it kind of a big deal?
Yeah.
With trying to get him to be a player that would be useful.
I mean, honestly, they did, but they were trying to get him to be a bench player that played. I mean, he started. Did he start one game?
Yeah, he started in Indy.
Well, yeah, but he was never. They were never going to bring in someone that was going to be a starter, though.
Well, we thought that he'd play a bigger role than he actually ever did.
That's this podcast.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. I guess I'm referring more to, the Thunder. If they really just thought, well, Gordon Hayward, he might be a good guy, but this is really the main point of this trade is clearing cap space. All right. Well, then why was there so much effort in seeing if he could really be something for this team?
Well, I think because of what he did in Charlotte earlier in the year.
The idea of him on paper was going to be someone that really helped, because the Thunder, whenever they made the trade, they were going through these scoring lulls with their second unit. Like he should have been able to score. Like he picked up the defensive stuff. He helped them on the rebounding, glass, of course. The only thing he didn't do in Oklahoma City was score the basketball. And who could have really projected that this guy would just forget how to shoot, forget how to play offense, and just not really catch on in that way of being aggressive offensively. So he was supposed to be someone who tied together the rotation, especially, giving you that scoring punch off the bench. And that part never came around. And I think that's what's the most frustrating part, is that should have been the most projectable part to come around, not necessarily the defense and the rebounding.
Yeah, he was 15-5-5 for Charlotte this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's definitely Gordon's fault. I want to say this. This is weird behavior by Gordon, first and foremost.
Yeah.
Psycho behavior.
Yeah, it really is.
It's very strange that he just decided to not shoot the ball and then said he didn't get enough opportunities to shoot the ball. It was like, dude, we saw you
How many times did he score in double figures for the Thunder?
twice.
3 times.
4 times.
Oh,
Against Dallas, actually, in one of in the last game of the season. Against San Antonio, he had 18 points. You guys remember that?
Nope.
not a single bucket.
Against Houston, he had 13 in March, and then against Portland, he had 10. So that happened this year too for the Thunder. And then I just honestly, it felt like he was pouting during the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
He took 3 shots total in the playoffs. 3, which is insane. It's absolutely insane that he only took 3 shots in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And it felt like because he wasn't going to get a big enough role, he's just going to pout about it. He played 46 minutes in the playoffs and he took 3 shots.
How can you do that to a team in the playoffs? Don't pout and be a crybaby.
He was a baby.
Being a crybaby.
I think he was clearly a crybaby whenever you see the exit interview because, like, this all stems from the fact that at his exit interview, he did not just use coach speak. Like, the Thunder had been setting him up to be able to just say, yeah, well, you know, it was hard coming off injury. It was hard integrating into a team that was already so good and already, you know, moving down the road. And it just was hard to come into a new role for the first time in my career. And then you have a 7-minute press conference and you leave and no one even remembers the Gordon Hayward era. You look back in 20 years and you're like, oh yeah, he did play for the Thunder. And we're not having a conversation today about Gordon Hayward. If Gordon Hayward just simply says those things, but because he went the other way and was like, oh, I didn't get enough touches. I didn't get enough of a role, whatever. Now this is like day 6 of talking about Gordon Hayward.
Yeah. I'm telling you, it's all we got. There's no drama.
No.
There's nothing entertaining really.
No. Like Giddey was great at exit interviews. And I thought that Presti, I think that one of the interesting things about Presti when he talked about Josh is that he basically talked about how he needs to refine his game and not level up. He said we talk about like players leveling up all the time. It's like not everybody can level up. He basically talked about how Lou toned it down this year so that other people could be better. And I don't think it's an accident that he talked about that during the Josh Giddey portion of this. Not that like, man, Josh needs to level up. He needs to become this better. No, like they need to figure out how to leverage. And I think these are his words too, leverage what Josh does best with this group. And that also just doesn't sound like a guy who's ready to move on from Josh either. And so I really would, if you're like questioning like what they're going to do with Josh, just go back and listen to that question in that portion of the press conference. I think it's like maybe about an hour in. I think it's really important because I think that's one of like the pivot points and one of the questions that people have is about Giddey, and he talks about it pretty plainly. And so I think like that's something that everybody really should go check out. And a lot of people still put their fingers in their ears because they don't think Josh is a good fit for this team. And I get it. Like, I totally get it. I know people that still do that. I think Alex does that to a degree too. But like, go listen to what he says. Like, he really spells it out pretty plainly about what they're going to do with Josh. And I don't think that they know, like, as far as contract goes, what they're going to do.
I think the way I think about Josh and how he's been spoken about is this. Ultimately, if the right trade comes up or the right opportunity comes up, Josh is the guy that will be gone.
Yeah, I think that like you don't want to rule anything out necessarily. Ideally, he would work out in Oklahoma City. That is still going to be an uphill battle. I think that the only way you can really leverage what he does good is by just handing him the keys to the bench unit. Because if anyone had like the right to just go scorched earth at the exit interviews, it was Josh Giddey. Because for as much like as we talk about how quote unquote bad Josh Giddey was this year, for the 4th straight year in his basketball career, 3 in the NBA, and then coming back from overseas, like he's had to change everything about his basketball identity. And like the entire landscape of the team, the expectations of the team, his role on the team has all changed, and all changed for the worse. Like this was never supposed to be Josh Giddey's role, to be like this shooter that just spots up and waits for the ball to swing his way, and to go and be relied upon to size down defensively and become this really, team switchable style of defense. Like that was never supposed to be who Josh Giddey was as a player. And it's no wonder that he does not look good in that role. That's not the role that we ever thought whenever we were like mapping out pre-draft what he could be in his NBA career, what he could be as a basketball player. It never included any of those assets of his game. But as Sam pointed out, like he never took that and turned it into complaining, or turned it into, I needed to be doing this or this differently. He just tried to get better at this, which is a very hard thing to do. And even though he's 21 years old and he technically could develop, it's just not skill sets that I think will ever suit him. Like the only skill sets that will suit him is, going all in on being this big guard and being this table setting playmaker who did improve his rim finishing from March 1st to the end of the year to have a career high stretch for him. If he can improve that rim finishing, especially on ball, then you can really see him flourish into this player. But it's not going to happen with the starting lineup. It just isn't, because you're not going to give him those touches over J-Dub and Chet and Shea. That's
the thing, is the rise of J-Dub kind of took that role from Josh Giddey, right? How Josh was playing with Shea too. Last year, it was kind of working out. We were like seeing how it could be when Shea was off the court. Josh was getting some primary ball handling opportunities. But now with J-Dub out there, it's like, well, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
It's Shea and then it's J-Dub. That's it. Like, Josh, you're really good. I hope you can find out how to make this work. But I thought this year watching Josh, what is he best at? He's the best passer on the team. Mm-hmm. Okay. He's just not in a role where he can really shine in that, Yeah. And I think maybe that's what Pressy is talking about. If Josh is here, how do we switch this up to where Josh is like the ultimate super glue guy, essentially?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. How do we get his passing to be a standout feature for this team again?
Can he kind of do what Lonzo Ball did for the Bulls? Was it 3 years ago now?
Dude, he hasn't played in like 3 years.
He hasn't played since the Polk administration.
The Thunder starting lineup was a +6 this season. It's not, that's good. It's objectively good in a lot of minutes. Even in the playoffs, they were a +6. In the regular season, let's see. In 800 minutes, they were a +10. It wasn't awful. I think sometimes we like to, I don't know, because we know that the Giddey fit isn't perfect. Like, we'll target it, and it's like the only thing that we want to talk about. And if he gets better, then we'll move. Like, before it was like talking about Dort. Like, oh, Dort's fit is never going to work. He's always going to drive like this. He's never going to do this. He's never going to do that. And I'm not saying that like Josh is going to figure it out. But when your team has a +10 net rating in the regular season with that starting lineup, like it's not like you look at it and say like, man, we have to fix this. Like, this has to be better, and this has to change, and this has to be different.
It is totally just an eye test thing, though. You can watch it and you can know and feel, okay, something needs to be adjusted here.
Yeah.
Right? That's how it was with Dort too. That's how it was with Dort in the playoffs, and you really had to you really had to analyze what is going on the court here, because I don't feel great watching Dort take all of these shots.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then you break it down and you can see, all right, maybe it's not as bad as I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just harder for all parties involved. Like, even though the numbers bear out some good results, you just look at it and it's just harder for everyone to do what they want to do.
Yeah, totally. And you watch it in the playoffs too with some of the Giddey stuff. In the regular season, it was this whole time too. It was like, I don't know how many times in our group text it was like we'd be winning, and then there would be texts like, "All right, we got to take Giddey out and wait until the third or fourth quarter."
You're just talking about,
and it's just like
talking about J-Tex.
Okay,
I did it too.
I did it too. Anyone.
I did it too. I know. First, we call out Gordon's wife. Come on. His wife. Very good.
I think
I'm
that
glad you're here, Rylan.
I'm glad to be here. Happy to be here.
Yeah, squeezing
This is
the
exciting.
gourd
think that-
nut.
I think the thing that will help almost more than like Giddy being put to the bench or whatever
I thought you were gonna say put out the pasture. I was like, whoa,
is
we're getting low.
Wow,
is putting,
Andrew.
something that will help more than putting Giddy down. No, I think that something that will help is Chet and J-Dub getting better and becoming better shooters and being more willing 3-point shooters.
Yeah.
Because like part of the cross matching, and Presti talked about this, opposing coaches have talked about this too. When you ask them about the cross matching, when I asked Willie Green about it for the Pelican series, the first thing when I asked him about like cross matching and putting a big on Giddy, he said like the reason we do that is because of Chet. I don't think Chet leveraged that mismatch as well as he should have all season because they're putting a smaller guy on Chet. He couldn't take advantage of a smaller mismatch, and he wasn't taking enough threes. And I think as Chet continues to grow into a better offensive player, I think it makes those cross matches even harder for other teams. And he's going to he will leverage that mismatch better as he continues to grow into his career. And I think it makes Giddy's job a little bit easier too, because a lot of times they couldn't take advantage of the mismatches because Chet didn't know exactly what to do. Like I think Chet needs to develop some kind of post game with these smaller guys on him where he can get into like a mid post area and have that turnaround jumper. He needs to be able to take more quick trigger threes. There's a lot of things that Chet needs to do better moving into next year that I think will make the offense so much better than it was, and then make Giddy's life a little bit easier as well.
Yeah.
Like I don't think that they took advantage of those situations as much as they could have.
And that's like an evolution that every player goes through. Like a couple years ago, whenever Shea was, the leader at the helm, even more so than he is now, like we were sitting here talking about how he needs to shoot the ball more and he needs to be more aggressive. He did that last year. J-Dub like had to shoot the ball more, had to get more aggressive. And this year it's the same thing with Chet, where it's like these guys are so ingrained into playmaking and making the right passes, making the right reads, getting the best shot. When sometimes like the best shot is Chet shooting over a smaller defender.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's technically contested and maybe Josh Giddey's wide open in the corner or maybe someone else is wide open in the corner, but that's still your best option because it's Chet Holmgren. You're one of the best guys on the team. You've got to shoot the ball. You've got to become aggressive, as J-Dub learned as he takes some of these tough mid-range shots and makes them. Shea's learned it too. So with Chet learning that, it will just make everything overall more smooth. Oftentimes right now, especially whenever he's at the slot or top of the key, like when the ball gets swung over to Chet, he's looking for the next swing pass instead of looking for the shot first.
Mm-hmm.
And you can always just pivot off of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Giddey has to be better too. Like Giddey has to come back a better player. Like flat out has to. And he's 21 years old. He's just went through literally the hardest year of his life in every single way possible. And he got better, and he actually got better through the season, which is also kind of crazy to think about. Like thinking about everything that he went through on the court, off the court, emotionally with what happened with the off the court incident, emotionally with what went on the court. I mean, he talked about how he'd lay awake at night worried about, this big man that's going to guard him and give him space. And yet, like he became a better shooter from three. He became a better shooter from the free throw line. He became a better player. He learned how. I mean, watching him at the end of the season and even in the Pelican series, I mean, there's no question that he was a better player. Now, the Dallas series was not a series for him. And I think that that's okay. I think that also shows that like he's a player that when you're talking about the mixing board of the Thunder, he's somebody that you have to tone down a little bit. This is not Josh Giddey's team. This is not going to be Josh Giddey's team. If he wants to be a part of it, he's going to have to sacrifice a tremendous amount of like his game to become a part of this team. I still think it can happen. I still think like he can evolve enough to where it can work. The numbers say that it can work. I think that you give him another chance to figure it out.
Can he be our Chris Bosh?
We already have our Chris Bosh.
No. The third player.
We already have a third player.
Oh, yeah. Well, who is the fourth player? Can he be our Mario Chalmers?
Mario Chalmers.
Can he be the guy that everyone just screams at whenever something bad happens?
Which is what he is right now. honestly.
Yeah,
For the
that's
fan
true.
base, for sure.
The fan base, yeah.
He is the fan
But
base.
Shea isn't like,
He's the fan base's Mario Chalmers.
Yeah.
That's for
And
sure.
I think part of that is just it's more comfortable. If you're a fan on Twitter, it's more comfortable to go after Josh Giddey because like some of the mistakes are louder, and it's just like he's clearly not a top guy. So when in reality, like the Mavericks series, for example, yeah, that was not a series for Josh Giddey to be playing at all. And Josh Giddey is such a player that like he's going to have series like that. He's not an upper echelon player that you play no matter what. And so he didn't play all that much against Dallas because it wasn't a good series for him. The reason that you lost that series was that for the majority of it, J-Dub did not play well. But that's like one of your guys. Like you're like as a fan, like you're rallying around like one of those guys that you don't really you want to like kind of point the finger at everything else possible before just admitting that like as it goes in the NBA, a star-driven league, you're going to go as far as your top guys take you. Your top guys weren't ready yet, and that's okay. Like this is their first go at it.
totally. And Josh Giddey opinions and takes, if you take it a certain way, they can be reinforced by the Thunder also saying, okay, this game isn't for Josh, or this series isn't for Josh.
Yeah,
You only played 18 minutes or whatever.
Put
It
him
happens,
12 minutes,
you know?
12 minutes a game against the Mavericks.
Yeah.
And I think like that is going to, I think Cason Wallace is going to push this situation in a particular direction too. If Cason was 6'5" or 6'6", like I would say like it's like Josh's days are numbered as a starter for sure. But because he's only like 6'2" or 6'3", I think it still makes it a question because I don't know that you can play he and Dort, who are both like 6'3", like very similar type of players together. Now that could be wrong too, and that Cason plays a lot bigger than he is,
and he gives you a more consistent approach to aggressiveness, to defense, to rebounding. Whereas like Josh Giddey, yeah, he is much bigger, and when he does like lock in and he is intentional defensively and is intentional on the glass, he really, really does help you as a quality fifth team defender, and especially on the rebounding efforts. But he misses a couple threes, and in these games, sometimes he just lets that affect his defensive end to where now he's just a nothing defensively and a nothing on the rebounding glass. Well, then also compound that with his offensive role where he's not being put in a position to succeed. And that's when you get the really, really bad Josh minutes. So like, I think that part of it this summer is just finding out how to have that constant motor and constant, aggressive level on that end of the floor.
Yeah. I mean, his defensive rebound percentage was 21.5%, which is good. Cason's was 8%.
Yeah.
I just like don't think
you just unlock more with a bigger guy. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, I
You
just
can just do more if you're bigger.
and I really like Cason, and I think he's somebody that's going to be a high level contributor on this team for a long time. But you also need a bigger guy, and this is why I think like ultimately they need a bigger like 3-4 to plug into the starting lineup. If you're going to replace Josh in the starting lineup, I don't know that they have that guy on this squad right now.
And I think that we can come at this from like just a Thunder angle, but from a Josh angle, like there's going to have to be some serious conversations of how do you leverage Josh Giddey with this Thunder team? He's not going to get the touches that he wants as a head of the table facilitator. So the way you can leverage that is using him as a screener more, trusting him on short rolls to make passes out of it, a cutter in the dunker spot, and see if he can knock down some threes that night. Is that a role that Josh Giddey wants to play? For as much as he loves the Thunder, loves the organization, sometimes you have to do what's best for you in your individual life. And that is going to be, I think, getting somewhere where he can play a point guard role. And it could be in Oklahoma City, and he just wants to come off the bench and be a point guard like for an entire unit and really help you navigate some of those scoring lows that you go through. But as far as him in the starting lineup, like if he wants to assume that role of being this screening, rolling, 6'9" used to be point guard, then that's fine. But I don't know for a fact that he would want that. Because how else would you leverage his ability? Because you're not going to take the ball out of J-Dub's hands or Chet or Shay's hands at all. So at that point,
Sacrifice.
You'd have to sacrifice a lot.
He has to.
And like
he genuinely has to.
Well,
and he's already made sacrifices.
if he wants to play on this team, he has to.
He has to. Because the thing, and like I said, I think that J-Dub and Chet are going to get a lot better over the course of the next 3 years. They are going to get a lot better. And they are going to demand more possessions. They're going to demand more of the offense as we continue to roll through this. And if you continue to give Josh like similar usage and similar tries to do these things, it's not going to work. This is why I ultimately think like it may end up being more of a Josh thing, that it's like, hey, it's time to move on.
Yeah.
Because I just don't know that he can maximize his earning potential on this team. And I have no clue what matters most to him. For a lot of NBA guys, it's like, I want to make the most amount of money playing basketball as possible. Great. That's just not here. And if you're the Thunder too, I think what's interesting about like these upcoming contracts over a lot of other deals is like with the TV deal coming in, 20, if you gave Josh 4 for 80, that's like basically a mid-level deal moving forward.
Yeah.
It's not that will look very small very fast. Shea is going to be an $80 million a year player here very soon.
Good for him.
And it's good for him.
Good for him. Can I get like a little loan from SGA, you think?
Oh, just a little
Don't
one?
ask
Just a
for.
little
Don't
one.
start with loan.
I was going to
Just
say.
start with
Yeah.
just money. String. I
Gift.
wanted to say
A gift.
string free. What's the phrase? No strings attached.
Yeah.
String free.
String free.
String free money. Hey,
Yeah.
bank. I just need some string free money.
Some string cheese, if you will.
String cheese. Oh, string cheese. Very nice.
See, I know that like when you think of 20 million, you think of Shea making 30 or 35. Like it's like, oh no, like you can't do that. But when it's Shea making 80 and Josh making 20,
Yeah.
then you're like, okay, he makes 1/4 of what the Supermax is.
What is your confidence level? Like from 0 to 100% that Josh is on the opening night roster?
This fall?
Yes.
Less than 70, more than 68.
Nice. I would say 90% confident.
Yeah, I
Wow.
think that it's an interesting kind of conversation, because for the Thunder, just for them as an organization, we've always talked about how they don't let guys hit restricted free agency.
Mm-hmm.
And Sam was very open that they don't have to sign him this year.
Yeah, those are his words.
So with no contract extension, then I think that at that point you're counting down the days until restricted free agency or until the trade deadline.
Mm-hmm.
So then you never know when's the best opportunity to make the move, because you're going to make the move at that point, just like you do with Darius Baisley and you have with other players before. You're going to make
still
that move.
so hurt. You're still so
I know.
hurt.
Yeah, and I know he could have been a small ball 5. They really anyway.
You're still so hurt. I could hear it.
It is heartbreaking. It is
Okay,
heartbreaking.
Continue. Sorry.
But it's okay. But if they don't make a contract extension, then like at that point, you've just got to make the move whenever you make the move that is best for you, and you get presented the best offer.
Yeah.
And it could be this summer, and it could be the trade deadline, but it certainly would not trend good for Josh Giddey's long-term future in Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
And if it's already not trending good, and you just said that it's very hard to integrate players onto a moving train, and that would be a massive like culture shock. Like you thought Trey Mann was a massive culture shock to lose him from that locker room. This is a guy that's been with them for the last 3.5 years,
Mm-hmm.
and like Jay Will and these guys are really attached to him. That would be a huge culture shock to them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like at that point, if you're not going to sign him, which we don't know if they will or won't, but if you're not going to sign him, that's where my percentage gets lower because of just that fact. Now, if they pivot away from not caring about restricted free agency and being willing to let them hit RFA, then the percentages go back up. But that's why I can't get to that 90, 100% threshold. And it's still way above, like you said, 60. 9, nice. But it's not 90+%, Andy. It's just not for me. Personally.
No. That's
Now you're
okay.
Andy Scoops. Now you can break some news if you want, but
I have no news to break. I would just say that like my sense of the situation has not changed.
you've got your finger on the pulse.
Yeah, I'll say that.
And the pulse is strong.
I think I would be very surprised, and I would have a lot of questions if they moved on from Josh this summer,
Even with no extension this summer.
I really don't have a feel for that. I just don't sense that
Would you agree though that with no extension this summer, like you are counting down the days to the trade deadline, or do you think that they would pivot that philosophy?
I mean, they could. I mean, I think that I think that they could pivot the philosophy.
Yeah, because that was another thing that Sam was very open about. Is like always adapting and changing, and tweaking things. That could be a tweak.
Yeah, and it could come down to like, listen, let's give this another year. We know that you're going to hit restricted free agency, but our hope is that you only negotiate with us.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't have to, when you hit restricted free agency, you don't have to renegotiate, or you don't have to negotiate with everybody.
Yeah.
You get to choose who to negotiate with. Now, you open yourself up to the agents and everybody on the outside going to somebody else and saying like, hey, Portland, or hey, Washington, or hey, whoever, would you sign him to this offer sheet to force the Thunder's hand? Which most people do. And it would be a huge leap of faith and probably naive to do that, which is why they don't ever do it.
Yeah.
And
I think that one reason that they might pivot would be that, like, who's going to give that big offer sheet, not for anything because of Josh, but because of the new CBA of like, if you did get stuck with that and you were hoping to just be toying with the Thunder and force their hand, but they didn't reveal their hand and they didn't match it. And then you creep up to that second apron, you creep up to that even first apron. Like, there are some massive consequences to that.
Yeah.
But like, yes, there were always consequences, but they were never like this. And do you really want to do that for the sake of gamesmanship and not really, you are going to improve your roster because he's a good player, but like the sole purpose of it being gamesmanship, I don't think that you want to do that anymore. Like, it was a strategy in the past, but especially for as expensive as the Thunder's going to be, you can't imagine that they'd match something crazy for Josh Giddey.
Yeah.
Because they're very soon in that same offseason going to have to extend Shea to a Supermax and Chet and J-Dub. So you would not be able to game the system against OKC in this specific restricted free agency.
Yeah. I mean, for me, just reading all the tea leaves and the pulse, I would say that Josh will be on the Thunder.
You've convinced me. I'm back.
Wow.
Welcome back. Do I think that the Thunder should explore trading him? Yes, I do think they should. But I don't know that that's going to happen. I would not expect that to happen.
Well, they're going to explore it.
They explore everything.
Sure.
All right.
You have a Tayshawn's?
I have two. I have one. Go ahead.
John's back toy bigger enough for him. John's back toy bigger enough for him.
Oh, my favorite injury. Rylan, earlier on Josh Giddey, we were talking about maybe Josh needs to make a decision for him.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time. Maybe it's not up to us, the fans. Maybe it's not up to the Thunder. Maybe it's up to Josh. Maybe Josh needs to take control of his own life. And he decides this is not the best place for me. I am not okay with $20 million a year. That is chump change. That is nothing to me. I need $23 million a year. So it goes somewhere else. But in that same way, what decisions have you made for yourself? That was like, this is the best thing for the right guy.
Getting deep like a gore nut.
Oh, no.
Listen, you can't have 7 kids and not get deep, if you know what I mean.
That was so on the nose. I respect it. But man, that gave me a visual. That gave me a okay, so anyway. What has you are, you do Locked On Thunder.
Correct.
Do you still announce football games?
Yeah.
Okay.
On high football. Go
So,
Wolverines.
How did you go to school for this?
Go Wolverines.
Did you go to school for this, or like how'd you get into this? You just been wanting to do this your whole life?
Yeah, so like in 3rd grade, I realized that I was just terrible at sports. Obviously, I mean, if you're watching the YouTube stream, what's up? So I just watched Dan Patrick. Shout out Dan Patrick.
Yeah,
and I was like,
DP.
DP is a fun way to live. Let me tell you. And, I was like, I want to live like DP.
Yeah.
I want to embody what DP means.
Yeah.
And so I just had that plan. I had some really, really bad podcasts in high school that I hope are not out there anymore. I listened to you guys on Down the Dunk, went to school for journalism,
Oh, you did?
Yeah, and started broadcasting Cache High School football, which was a travesty. Actually, it was their best season in like 20 years, but 4A high school football is not where you want to be.
Yeah.
It is a mess. We went to this place.
You got to start somewhere.
Yeah, you guys are somewhere. And when my starting point, Taylor, was in Elgin, we were relegated to the former press box, which is on the away side, which typically you broadcast from the home side. We walk in the door, and there's, I'm not exaggerating, 4 hornets' nests in this press box, which is of course smaller than this room that we're in. And they were
live.
They were live. They were live.
Wow.
And in fact, if you go back and watch the game, there is a play that you cannot see because my camera guy was so scared of the wasp, which I'm not blaming him. He grabs the wasp spray and sprays the window, not realizing they're like, now we can't see the play at all. So then it turns into a radio only broadcast. So
I was hoping it was going to be some kind of like gaseous poison that he did. And you were like, next thing we know, we woke up
we know we're
2
dead.
days later.
That's what happened at the Grateful Dead concert. But
nice.
I had to take a stand right then and there. Like, 4A is not for me. I'm too good to be in 4A. Just like Josh Giddey is too good for
Oh, okay. Hey, that's good. I respect it.
And then I went to 6A, and which is life's great in 6A. Now it's awful in Lawton because we play at Cameron Stadium, and the press box has not been renovated since 1967. True. But it's great up here whenever they play road games because all of you guys up here, rich. I mean, we have elevators, we have everything you could ever dream.
Oh yeah, man, well, so rich.
Who's the richest of the rich?
Ooh, this is gonna get me in trouble, Andrew. Let me think.
Is it really? Why? They probably want you to say.
Yeah, I think that they all, but I think that they're all very competitive. Like Deer Creek. Oh, what a great facility!
Deer Creek,
what a great facility.
Crazy. Yeah.
But there's also a team that plays in the soccer stadium, Taft or whatever.
Yeah.
Which is like a truly professional, like high level press box.
Yeah.
That's like a lot of fun too.
Yeah.
The only bad part about that is that there's no individual room, so everyone can just hear my calls, which, as you know, get pretty psycho.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of awkward.
Let me get one right now. Best player just scored. His name is Rigaldo.
Rigaldo?
Yeah.
How did he score?
Okay, so for some reason I'm thinking of the energy, and now you're on a soccer broadcast.
I've never done soccer.
Okay, I know.
How
I
about
just realized what I did.
Rylan, you made like the top. What was
you were on Sports Center, weren't you?
NBC Sunday Night Football.
Yeah.
Same thing. That's like the 1B to the Sports Center
it's
one.
The mothership, and then it's halftime of the Sunday Night Football game between the Colts and the Texans that nobody cares about.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, that's awesome.
That's great, man.
It's a lot of fun.
Okay. So these were decisions you made for yourself.
Is this an ad or is this like are you getting to?
I'm kind of just, I want people to know who you are.
Okay.
And they know who you are. These people for sure know who you are. Our listeners know who you are.
Oh yeah.
But I just want to know. I want to know. Also, this is for me. I just want to know,
Yeah. We had a magical moment in Salt Lake City.
We did.
Come from Lawton, Oklahoma. Home of Fort Sill. The Lawton Fort Sill Cavalry won 4 championships back in the day.
Oh, of course. How could I forget?
Yeah. CBA basketball. Tony Key and them boys. Michael Ray Richardson, the head coach.
Tony Key and them boys. Hit my Tayshawns again.
Jimmy out. Tayshaw's factoid bigger and uglier. Tayshaw's factoid bigger and uglier.
Hey, I'm Tayshawn. This is my victory. Lakers are gonna hire a coach.
Lakers.
Dan, I never know how to pronounce this. Wojcicki?
Yeah.
Okay. This is from Dan Wojcicki. Rumors of the Lakers' staffing plans have run throughout the league during the past 2 weeks, with some names most commonly mentioned, including former head coach Scott Brooks, assistants Sam Cassell and Jared Dudley, and ex-Lakers guard Rajon Rondo have also been under consideration. Now, this is not for the head coaching position.
Right.
They're starting to build the assistant coaching staff.
Yeah.
Why are the Lakers building the assistant coaching staff before they have a head coach?
Because they're going to hire JJ Redick.
Yeah.
Okay, but is JJ Redick wanting these guys, or are they just doing it?
I think
because I've also heard that they're changing. The league is kind of changing the way they build coaching staffs, and more teams are getting more involved in the coaching staff behind the head coach than it has generally been.
I think that with hiring a first-time head coach for this kind of team, You need to insulate him and also have a very nice backup in case things do not go well.
Totally. I think they're interviewing for the interim head coach.
Yeah. I mean, totally they are. Like they just cannot afford to botch this situation, and they need a soft landing spot if things are not good. Now, I don't think Scott Brooks is going to be the guy in waiting. For sure he won't be. But it's nice to have somebody that's had experience. Like he's been on benches, he's been really good for for Chauncey Billups in Portland. So I think that, yeah, they've got to fill out the rest of that staff in a very structured way, I would say, because JJ's very smart. Like he knows the league. Played in the league for a long time. He has LeBron's ear. Those things are all good. But what happens if you go 40? What if you win 40 games next year and you're the Lakers?
Dude, I think JJ's a true psycho. Why would you give up? Look how fast you've climbed the media ladder.
Yeah.
You're like one of the top basketball media guys now already.
Yeah.
You're going to make so much money just doing that. It's going to be so much more stress-free. You can coach your son's basketball team. You can live your life. Why would you go be a head coach for the LeBron Lakers?
Because he can.
Yeah, you can always go be a media guy.
He can go back to it whenever he wants. It's going to be there waiting for him no matter what. And you go try different things.
And you get better stories for your podcast.
Yeah.
You do get better.
Think of the stories.
That'd be really funny if he's like, I'm going to do this. Man, I'm going to have some good content after this is all said and done.
Yeah.
That's part of the thinking.
I mean, he definitely will. So, I mean, the media deal is always going to be there,
Yeah. Doc
Rivers, gets canned and then he gets, a big media job, right away.
Immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like JJ would get to choose whatever he wanted to do afterwards. So it's not like he's leaving something behind. It's just he's just setting it to the side for now. And maybe he's a really good coach. Maybe he is a really good coach. And he's really good for the Lakers. And then, maybe after LeBron and AD are done, he can move on and coach somebody else. So maybe he's going to be really good at it.
Lakers are like, what are you, can we see how are you a good coach? Show some film. And he's like, well, I do this podcast with LeBron.
Yeah.
And also I coach my son's basketball team. And here's some footage of that.
I mean, he's probably, it has to be backed by LeBron.
Andrew, you're a podcaster.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, that's
you could be a head coach.
Oh,
you just need to be friends with a basketball player.
Yeah, that would
and you need to have
Josh Eustace. I mean, we're there.
Have a long career in the NBA before that.
Dave DeFore is up in Montana with Josh Eustace as we speak.
Montana. What are they doing?
They're running a basketball camp.
Really?
Wow. As opposed to a cattle camp up there in Montana.
Mm-hmm. As opposed.
Yeah.
What do we think about coaches and their attire nowadays?
So this has been Wesley Morris was on Pablo Torres' podcast talking about this. They talked about this the entire episode.
It's a good topic.
How it's a travesty for men's fashion, and it is disrespectful to the profession that head coaches don't wear suits anymore.
I think that's ridiculous.
I kind of agree, not with you, but with Wesley Morris.
I think
they need to be wearing. I think the head coach needs to wear a full suit.
Why? Why?
It's professional attire. I don't know.
I do know, actually.
Okay.
Not only do you look professional, which I don't really care about that aspect of it, it does add a dynamic to coaching. I mean, think about this, right? You're just getting jobbed out there. I mean, the refs are really bending you over the barrel and showing you the 50 states, right? And you rip off that sport coach. You rip off that
Wait. Showing you the 50 states?
Yeah. That's what we say down in Lawton.
What does that mean? You're looking at a map?
Well, honestly, I don't know what it means. We just always say it in that context.
Bending you over a barrel and showing you 50 states.
Oh, you're about to get shot over a barrel, I believe. If I'm not mistaken.
What does 50 states have to do with it?
Well, I think that whenever you die, often, there's a flag nearby, maybe. I'd have to look up the country of origin.
That can't be true.
That's not it. Definitely not it.
I'd have to look up the origins.
You're
of
about
it.
to be murdered and a flag is nearby.
All right, keep talking. I'm gonna look this up.
I just think that it adds a dynamic of like you rip off that sport coat. I think of Roy Williams. I think of these coaches that can really work a coat, and being able to work a coat helps you work a game. And I think that that is a language that we've lost in frustration.
Yeah, I get it. I don't know. All the guys seem way more comfortable.
Can you
now.
rip off the quarter zip? No.
No, you can't.
I mean, if you had an undershirt on, maybe.
Yeah, there's no tie. I can't just grab my tie and loosen it up real quick, you know?
I just don't really care about
What am I
any
going
of
to
that
do?
stuff.
Zip it down another inch?
Ooh, wait a second though. Spin zone. What
Yeah.
if you marked how frustrated your coach was by where their zipper was? And it starts out as like you're fully up. And if you get fully down, then you're just perplexed by the officiating.
is a zipper scale? I don't know. I mean,
because it was so cool to see a coach throw off that sport coat.
I
You knew exactly how he was feeling in that moment.
yeah.
And then the dress shoe stomp is just more oomph, chutzpah than a sneaker stomp.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't bring myself to care about it.
All right, so it appears there's no meaning because this is actually a quote from Horrible Bosses.
There you go.
So I think it was just something random.
From
that
Horrible
someone-
Bosses.
Yeah, this isn't from Lawton. This is from Horrible Bosses.
Well, it was shot in Lawton. Little do people know.
Oh, really? Wow. Yeah. So many movies are shot down there.
At Wayne's Drive-In. Got the check.
On the top of Mount Scott.
You can see the whole city from there, I believe.
Yeah. It's nice.
It's not much to see, but
John's back toy bigger and ugly.
I'm sorry.
John's back toy bigger and ugly.
All right, we're going to take a quick break and then we're going to answer some Twitter questions. And we're back from that quick break. Now it's time for some Twitter questions.
With
Twitter questions. You got questions and you ask them on Twitter. Now we answer them for you. This is Twitter questions. Let's get down to it.
Jimmy.
with Jamie Jacques.
Oh, okay. Pal not knowing how to speak his own language.
It's so bad. I was trying to hit the wrong button and I forgot that I had Pau Gasol in here trying to say Jaime Jaquez.
That's still on the board.
With Jamie Jacques or Jacques.
Let me say it in two wrong ways, please.
Yeah.
I love that.
This one comes from Dort Poi. Do you think the Celtics are a good example of how the Thunder should be building their team for the long run? They're in a similar situation with the war chest of Brooklyn picks while having Tatum and Brown. I think when it comes to like team building, as far as like the long-term vision they had there, you're the Boston Celtics. You have the benefit of being able to get free agents. And so I don't think that they can necessarily build their team like them. However, I do think they're already kind of doing it like them to a degree, where it's going to be a lot of spread. I mean, especially with the way that they're constructed now, when you think about it, with Tatum, Brown, Derek White, Drew Holiday, Porzingis. I mean, a bunch of defenders like that. You know, I think point of attack defense is becoming more and more important, and that's being amplified in the playoffs. And so having a guy like Cason Wallace, having a guy like Dort, having Jalen Williams and all those guys, I think that's very similar to like what Boston has. And then having the stretch big like Porzingis, you know, and Chet, like there are a lot of similarities there that already exist. And yes, I do think that they need to continue to build out their roster in this way, but they're not that far away from being like Boston. And I think that they can surpass where Boston is now because I think Shea is better than Jason Tatum. And so,
Did you see Zach Lowe said Tatum is like not a top 5 player? He's probably 7, 8, 9, 10.
I didn't see that, but yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, I'd agree with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I also noticed that ESPN was putting up, the little image of like upcoming games. This was during the Mavs game the other night. And, they put like their star player picture up there.
Yeah.
It was not Tatum. They put Brown up there. I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah, there's been like this whole like Tatum Brown thing going on that's frankly pretty stupid, but
Glad you were frank.
cool.
Yeah.
At
Frankly, stupid
at-
ESPN.
at Josh_Dritch. He wants to know what is the most valuable offseason player development? 1, Jada becomes an elite passer.
That one.
2, Giddey becomes a true 3-point threat. Or 3, Chet perfects the lob slam.
After the Mavs series, everyone's like, we need more lobs, which you're not wrong. Having Chet be a more consistent lob threat would be great.
They should have gotten to honestly, they should have gotten to game 7 on a lob slam.
Yeah, that's true. Lob slam.
I think it's J-Dub's passing though.
That would be
If he became an elite
Yeah.
passer,
Yeah,
Because that unlocks
I mean,
Chet's
yeah.
game so much. Like I think that people like can get lost in like how productive that Derek Lively has been and how productive that some of these other big men have been. Chet was held back. We talked about before how he like was not shooting the ball over guards, was not looking to shoot enough. He's also got held back by the table setters of not finding him on rolls where these guys like Shea and J-Dub, I think, have to flip their mindset just a tad of their first instinct is let me do it myself and hit these tough mid-range shots instead of
or get to the rim. Yeah.
instead of hey, let's just hit Chet, because Chet's such an advanced passer of his position that if you hit Chet and the defense rotates over and they cut him off, he's talented enough to get you the ball back, and then you can lean on hitting a tough jumper or getting to the rim yourself. But trusting in Chet and getting him the ball more often than not is going to lead to easy buckets. And so if you're a talented enough playmaker to be able to do that in the pick and roll, this Thunder team really becomes to a next level of already a top 5 offense. Like they become nearly a pick your poison, unstoppable force
Mhm.
if you have better production as pick and roll ball handlers.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
From Zach Deeg, future tells you a surprise Thunder player is traded this offseason. Who would be your dark horse?
Casey Wallace.
Whoa.
It's surprise. Like, would you be shocked if Josh Giddey was traded?
I mean, he'd be the leader in the clubhouse.
Exactly. And so then who's going to get you to shock? Would you be shocked if like Kendrick Williams and Wiggins are traded?
No, I don't even know if I'd be that shocked with Kaysen, just because it's like the young good player that would go along with a bunch of picks.
But you're only trading Kaysen. The reason I say Kaysen is that you're only trading him to get like a massive talent. And that means that they made a massive move.
Yeah, yeah.
And that I
So
think
the
would still
overall
be-
thing is
yes.
the shocking thing.
Whereas if you traded Wiggins or Kenrich, it'd be sorely disappointing, especially for a Wiggins man like myself. It'd be very disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
But the package might not be that shocking.
I think Dort would be really shocking to me.
Oh,
That's-
absolutely.
That's
Yeah.
a good one.
I think he's more entrenched as like part of like the core than anybody outside the top 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think then it becomes very clear how important Dort was to how this team plays defensively.
Yeah, the value was outrageous in the playoffs.
Yeah,
Like you can't give that guy up.
No.
You know, like where Josh's value is still like very much in flux, and like we don't really know where that's going to land. Dort's is like fully entrenched.
and Dort's contract value too. It's not just the value of who this player is and what this player provides to the rest of the team.
Mm-hmm.
That contract is insane still. He's just still on a crazy good
I
contract.
mean, they have a team option in 26-27 for 17.7, which is going
Yeah.
to seem.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be under a mid-level exception.
He will be a bargain contract on
Yeah.
every list.
And he has always been.
Yeah. At Ryan M. Jewell says, why after Sam's presser and Andrew's thoughtful additions and level-headed understanding of things have Alex, and to a lesser degree Jay, decided to don evil mustache and black cape and channel the worst of Thunder Twitter by wanting a performative big signing?
Well, I did listen to the Alex pod. It was not the worst of Thunder Twitter. We
It
can get into
definitely
the
was
worst
not.
of Thunder
definitely
Twitter.
was not.
There are some dark
There's-
corners of Thunder.
There are some
of,
deep crevices.
of Thunder Twitter. Yeah.
I also think Alex's point is like reasonable.
Yeah.
I understand where he's coming from too. That's why that podcast was so good.
I ultimately agreed with him at the end of it.
Yeah.
Like I think he was surprised that I was like, yeah, I think you're right. Like they are. I mean, I don't think Sam cleared this cap space and has these extra roster spots just so that he can do what with it. Like he said, like many times, like he cleared these roster spots. Like I don't think it's a guarantee that Lindy Waters is back with a roster spot next year. And then, like, what are you going to do with these 2 roster spots? I think is like a big question. I mean, 3 because Biombo. So, like,
Yeah.
what are they going to do with those 3 roster spots? You pick at 12,
That's one.
and then you have 2 other roster spots. What are you going to do with them? They're going to do something. I don't think because they made a documentary about Bismack that they're just going to bring him back. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that you bring Lindy Waters back on a contract. I don't know. I mean, I think that they're going to do something, and I think that they should do something. Whether it's like massively impactful, I don't know, because I don't know that those deals are going to be necessarily available, and that's what it comes down to. Like, I think a lot of people just want the Thunder to do something just to do something because it makes them feel good to see Woj or Shams tweet their team out, and it gets.
You want to get in on the party.
It's fun to see, these things happen. But there may not be like a deal that's like that makes sense for them this summer, and they may end up using their cap space to acquire more draft picks. Like that could happen, or maybe there is like the exact right player that they want to acquire becomes available, and we'll explore like different avenues and who those players could be. But there's just like no guarantee with that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it's totally unreasonable to also come away from the playoffs thinking, all right, they need more production off the bench or from the starting unit or whoever. They just need more productive players in the playoffs.
Yeah, and part of it too is it's difficult because this team is the youngest. They're the youngest team to ever win a playoff series.
Yes.
Yep.
And they are going to change drastically whether they acquire a player or not. This team is going to change quite a bit, because when you think about Chet being as young as he is, Jalen being as young as he is, Cason Wallace being the youngest player on the team, I think everybody thinks those 3 players are going to be contributors big time next year. And I think everybody expects those guys, and even Shea to a degree, to all get better going into the next season.
Well, and I think the Thunder kind of showed their hand a little bit with the Gordon Hayward thing, going back to that. All right, they traded for Gordon Hayward. It cleared cap space. They were seeing if Gordon Hayward could provide that production that they thought they were lacking in.
Yeah.
They wanted him to fill a role that they saw a gap.
Yeah.
And so, okay, I mean, they know that too. They're probably going to try to do that.
Yeah, I think you need a bigger wing that can defend and shoot.
Yeah.
I've been saying it for a while. And I think they're going to try to acquire somebody. Who that is, I don't know. But I think that it makes sense, because your bench has a lot of role players that are 6'5" and shorter.
Yeah. So
And
you have 3 roster spots, and Olivier Sarr's 2-way. I don't think they're going to bring Olivier Sarr back off of an Achilles tear.
yeah, definitely not.
So 4 open options.
and you could give Lindy that. You could give Lindy the 2-way spot again.
Just
if
do
you
it,
just wanna
dude.
have him- if you just want to have him within the
I
organization.
want Lindy's life so bad. I want Lindy's life. Just this hometown star, and you're just because of opportunity and being in the right place at the right time, making NBA money, baby. And he's really good. I'm not saying like he's just this is all super lucky. He's very good. He's in the NBA, but man, it'd be awesome to be Lindy. What a story.
He's got a great life.
Over under 3.5 new faces in October on this roster.
3.5.
3.5. God.
I'll say under. I think it'll be 3.
I'll say over. I think it'll be 4.
Okay. I like that.
What do you think?
I'm gonna take the over just because there's so much that can happen. Not like even something huge, but we also don't know how they feel about Flagler if they want to bring him back. I think that they really like Flagler just from my time with the Blue.
Mm-hmm.
But like, do they for sure want to bring him back? Who knows? I think that they should. He's really good, and he was really performative for them, and they've really invested in him. But that could be another two-way contract spot open. You're for sure bringing in a new two-way.
If we're talking about two ways,
yeah, that's why I brought up Olivier.
Yeah, if we're talking two ways altogether,
yeah, because you're for sure replacing Olivier's two-way.
Yeah,
as much as you want to take care of him, and then you're gonna have 3 open NBA spots.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Andrew thinks 3 new faces. I think 4. Rylan thinks 7, 8.
Yeah, just a whole new 18.
Yeah, 18 new
It's
faces.
It's over. No, that's just a joke. It's going to be like 3.
Well, then Keontae. Like, what do they do with Keontae?
Oh, they're bringing Keontae back.
Yeah, but like, do you bring him back on a two-way? Like that.
Yeah.
That's the question. Is like,
I think he's really good, man.
Like, do you give him a standard deal, or do you bring him back on a two-way?
I think you give him a two-way with the promise of like trade deadline. You're going to get converted.
Yeah. It's also tough because he's also like a 6'5" player. He plays big in the 6'5" for sure.
Yeah.
But it's like you really need like that 6'8", 6'9" guy. You really do.
Yeah, Corey Brewer.
Corey Brewer.
What a pull.
Yeah.
Why are you saying Corey Brewer?
You know, the guy, that height.
He coaches in a
6'8"?
ball cap. If he could have played in that baseball cap,
He does coach in a ball cap.
it would have been really cool.
How tall is Corey Brewer?
He's like 6'5".
Is there a law
Really?
against playing in
Yeah.
baseball
Oh, in
caps?
my head, he was really tall.
No, he's
How
not that
tall Slow Mo?
He's like
6'7.5".
yeah, he's like 6'7" ish.
Great.
You want slow mo
Yeah.
as a free agent?
I want Josh Giddey to play like Slow Mo, actually.
He's been their best defender on Luka.
Yeah.
Slow mo has.
Dude, he's good. I enjoy watching him play.
Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't want him on this team, but like, yeah.
Hey, look, a bunny at the door. He wants to come
You
in.
have a lot of wildlife out here, Andrew.
We have a lot of bunnies right now. We got a lot of bunnies.
Oh, the
outside.
bunnies are.
The bunnies are getting their Gornut on.
They are.
They are.
Okay. At Alex_Bullerjack, what's the best offensive addition through the draft? And what's the best defensive addition through the draft if the Thunder are picking at 12? No, Ryland's a draft guy, if you guys don't know. So, Ryland, I'll give you the floor. Let's first talk offense.
Would you mind? Will it be disrespectful to you if I eat this breakfast bar while you do it?
No, I'd actually really enjoy that.
Okay. You can watch me eat while you talk.
I think that the best offensive addition would either be between, well, for me, it's Jared McCain, first and
We
foremost.
got a McCain guy in the house.
I'm a McCain man. And I just think that he does so much for you. I think he can really project to play on ball, but especially off ball. He's a really good shooter. He's a really good scorer. So I think that McCain would be the answer for offense. If you do buy into the shooting of Tristan da Silva, then he would be a more seamless, I think, fit for the Thunder.
The shooting is there.
Yeah.
It's like,
and so
that's not a question.
For the Thunder specifically, I think that I'd go da Silva because he does more thundery things. But I'm also like, I do believe that Thunder still need what McCain brings. I know that like when the draft card got turned in, if they did draft Jared McCain, there'd be a large portion of Thunder fans that would say, oh, they drafted another guard, Andrew. Make me feel good about another guard, Andrew. Another guard. But like they do, obviously, having watched that playoffs, and like need help setting the table, and they need more of those guys. So like I'm not at all out on McCain for the Thunder. I think that he would provide a huge offensive boost for them.
Yeah.
And at 12, I'm not sure that you can get a better like offensive weapon than those two guys.
Yeah, he's more of a point guard than Kaysen is.
Yeah.
Like Kaysen is more of a 2, and McCain is like more of like a true combo guard, I would say. I like McCain a lot. I don't like that he's 6'3". I think that they do need bigger wings. The problem is like who do you take at that spot that is not going? I mean, Da Silva. I worry about Da Silva's defense and rebounding. Like I just don't think you can. He is 6'9". That's great.
Nice.
But he doesn't do the things that you need a 6'9" player to do.
He's not 69 as a player.
He's not. He's definitely not.
He's more 6'6" as a player.
Yeah, I
6'5".
don't. And he's 23.
6'5" is something crazy on a Saturday night. Let me tell you, Deshaun. But
What you're saying is either so direct or I don't know what it means.
Yep. Honestly,
We'll explain that.
the guy that if you are going to take him at 12, that is the 6'9" player, is Saloon. If he's there, he's right. He is rocketing up draft boards right now, though. But
and I think for good reason. Like I think that he, like you can make the argument that he should go before 12.
I think that he probably will go
Yeah.
before 12 at this point. But Tijion Saloon is probably the guy that if you want a 6'9" player that can help you defensively, that has he's got a motor. That's the thing about him that I think is like most impressive. And so that's the kind of guy. I don't think De Silva is necessarily that guy, although
No.
like he's a pretty good passer. Like he's kind of like he's pretty good shooter, pretty good passer, not a good rebounder, not a great defender. Like
I wonder how much better he'd get at that stuff with the Thunder because of the talent around him. But you don't want to just bank on that.
Yeah. I mean, he's like a little Trey Lylesy.
Oh, I like that.
Don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, I like the comp. I don't like the idea of Trey Lyles.
Yeah, but like not a good rebounder, not
No,
the
you're
best
right.
defender, can shoot.
Yeah.
Pretty good passer.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
Andrew,
like that's
you're right.
and he's 23. That's the thing that I worry about with him. Like I would
Yeah.
rather have McCain than him.
Hey, you can
Thank
teach. You can
For sure.
teach defense and rebounding in the NBA. You can't. It's harder to make someone a good shooter. It's hard to make someone a better passer. The easiest thing to teach is rebounding and defense, Andrew.
And
Get
you
the
do have
guy.
a really good defensive staff. I mean, I know you have the best shooting coach in the world, but like you have a really, really good defensive
Yeah.
staff.
They do. I would just rather have McCain. McCain averaged the same amount of rebounds as De Silva did.
You're not gonna have to convince me about McCain. I love McCain. I'm a McCain man.
McCain's 6 inches shorter, but was
Aren't we all?
had and I knew I was going to regret saying it as I was saying it, but had this exact same amount of rebounds per game. I mean, just not it. Like that's just not it. I worry about him. So
Defensively, did you give your answer? Defensively,
no, defensively,
Devin Carter.
yeah, another 6'3" guy.
But look at the wingspan, Andrew. He's like
Yeah.
he's like one of those pigeons outside with the wingspan.
That's you took the words right out of my mouth.
I wish you said goose though.
Yeah, are they geese outside or pigeons or what is outside?
I mean,
Well, I just like a goose has a longer wingspan.
tons of geese. Tons of geese.
A lot of geese.
There's a bunny that just ran by again.
These bunnies are trying to figure out how to get in here.
I mean,
They're trying to take over.
I would say Saloon defensively is somebody that I would really like. Yeah, I mean, Devin Carter's another one. I don't know that anybody in the 12 range is going to come in and like change your life defensively, though.
Yeah, I think Devin Carter would really help you if you didn't already have Case and Wallace. Like, I think that these guys at 12 are pretty redundant with
Yeah.
what you already have.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, Johnny Furphy's another guy that's like 6'8", 6'9" ish. He did stay in the draft. I think that was a question whether he was actually going to stay, and he decided to stay. He's Australian.
He's Australian, and he is named Furphy,
Yeah,
and he went to Kansas.
yeah,
Kansas Pipeline.
and he's a pretty good rebounder.
Yeah, he is way more physical than Grady Dick.
Yeah, he's like all hustle. I just don't know the shooting.
The
is
shooting
real.
drop off from Grady Dick is like he does everything else better than Grady Dick except for shoot the basketball,
Except
and
for
it's like,
shooting.
well, that's tough. But you couple him with Chip England. Not that 12 is a good range for him at all, but
Yeah,
You know, I thought you brought up a really good point. He is named Furphy,
he is.
that is his
Johnny
name.
Furphy.
and I'm in. Johnny Furphy.
It's
The
a great.
Furfman.
I'm in.
It's a good name.
I actually think I like that better than Grady Dick.
Yeah, Grady Dick's 2 on the nose.
Yeah.
Who else do you like at 12? Rylan.
Well, I like Devin Carter a lot. I like all the guys we named. I also I like you've talked me into Flip. I've tried to pull you to the McCain side. You've
Mhm.
pulled me a bit to the Flip side that I was not on before.
Oh, Flippy Powski.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like him. I really like Cody Williams. As I said on the
Yeah.
Dream Team pod, I didn't know if you had more to elaborate on.
No, of course not. No. Of course not.
Although his name does sound like he could be like a Kim Possible character, but I do like.
Impossible. First Impossible
Kim
reference
Possible.
ever on Down to Dunk.
Well, you're just waiting on the next Elvis movie reference, but I do like Cody Williams, and I said on the Dream Team, I would like him no matter what his name was. I think that people, because he's related to J-Dub, just assume that like the only reason that he's good is because of J-Dub. Like I really like the stuff that he does as a baseline and the ceiling that he has. I think like at worst, Cody Williams is gonna be a very productive contributor. And if you give him the time and the patience to craft his skill set, he can be a starting level player for you in the NBA and a very quality starter player. So like I think that that's worth a shot in this specific draft.
Yeah.
And I think that Sam is right, though, that this draft is much better for the Thunder than it is for, like, the Pistons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, per 36, Cody Williams had averaged less rebounds than Rob Dillingham.
Not good. But he was hurt a lot.
He was. There are a lot of excuses as to why things did not go well for Cody.
Excuses?
I mean, reasons?
I don't know. Excuses seem like
I just don't. I'm not trying to take a shot. There are a lot of reasons.
We could take shots, even though it's 7:45 a.m.
There's a lot of reasons why Cody Williams did not work out this year. I think there's a good chance he's there at 12.
And see, I'm a Tyler Smith guy, and you're not a Tyler Smith guy.
Yeah, I just feel like Tyler Smith is like a tweener in all the wrong ways. I don't know. Do you think he can be a center? I guess is the question.
Yeah, I think that he can play center in spurts.
Yeah. See, I don't like that.
Which is what you run into with like Jay Will.
Yeah, I just like it. Can you convince me that he's like a clear upgrade over Jay Will?
Well, it would depend on your definition of clear, which is like
exactly.
Which is like I think that he can be a better, more consistent shooter than Jay Will. Is that enough to sell you? I think he's a little bit more athletic than Jay Will. Jay Will continues to evolve his athleticism, as Sam pointed out.
Yeah.
But I think he's a better athlete than Jay Will.
Yeah. He's not the passer that Jay Will is.
He's not the passer. Jay Will is not even close to it. Yeah. Whereas like Jay Will is close to Smith as a shooter. He's close to Smith as an athlete. Smith is nowhere near Jay Will as a passer.
Yeah, that's where I just don't know if I can buy it. And that's where you look to flip, where he's bigger than both those guys. Like he's taller. Yeah. He is a good passer. He can handle a little bit and he can shoot a little bit. And so like you can see why that would be an upgrade just to be like a true 7-footer.
Yeah.
And be able to do all those things. I think that he makes some sense. And I also think McCain makes sense. I think both those Duke boys.
As a resident draft casual here, I like Flippy Powski.
Yeah, I like Flip.
Just as a Thunder fan, it's like, okay, that guy sounds the most obvious.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Anything else draft-wise that you need to get off your chest? Who's your number one pick?
My number one pick is Alex Sarr.
Boo.
Okay.
Why?
Who's yours?
Who is yours, Andrew?
I mean, my favorite guy in the draft is Stephon Castle.
Stephon Castle?
Yeah.
It's your favorite guy?
Yeah. It's my favorite guy.
Andrew's been pretty good at these, by the way.
Oh, he has been. I'm well aware of Andrew's game. I'm like, I'm familiar with this game. That's the meme with me.
I wasn't familiar with your game.
You've been awesome with this.
I really like Steph Castle.
Would you draft him at 1 if you were Landry Fields and them boys?
Oh, probably not.
Okay,
Landry Fields and them boys.
I would hate having the number one pick in this draft.
This would be.
I would absolutely.
It'd be my worst nightmare.
Because there is a real chance that Alex Sarr is a bust.
Oh, better than not. Yeah, better than not.
That is.
But the idea of Alex Sarr
horrifying.
And if his brother's an education.
Yeah, I know. Where's the genes?
You know how I feel about Olivier, our good pal.
Oh, I do know how you feel about Olivier. Yeah, I do. This whole draft is like I wish that Risa Shea could do more than just be like a spot up shooter. I wish that Reed Shepherd was 6'6". I wish that Topic could shoot. I wish that Buzelis could shoot. Ron
Holland? Are you a Ron Holland guy?
Oh no! Oh heck no! Heck no! He is just a long line of G League Ignite players that's going to come in the league, and he's going to have all these flashes, and everybody's going to be like, "Oh, I'm so in on Ron Holland, man. I love Ron Holland." And then like he's never
turning into surfers now. All of a
and
sudden,
then
the Beach Boys. All of a
yeah,
sudden.
that's right. This is all the Lakers people. I love Ron Holland. And then he'll never actually be good.
Fair enough.
He's the next Kuminga.
I mean, in this draft, if you get a Kuminga,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can just talk about how he's going to help you for the next decade, and then him actually never help you. It'll be great.
it will be fun.
It'll be great. Yeah, I'm not a Ron Holland guy. I just don't believe in his like.
Are you a Ron Howard guy?
I'm a huge Ron Howard guy.
He's a great director.
Great.
He's one of those directors where you're like, wait, that was Ron Howard? That movie I just watched? Wow. What a creative guy.
A genius.
Genius.
Yeah, he's a genius, dude.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with this game. I'll have to.
He goes from Happy Days to being one of the greatest directors of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's a special guy.
He's a special guy.
Redhead.
Yeah. I don't know who I would pick number one. If I was in the Hawks position, I would trade the pick.
But then, what's the intrinsic value of the pick if like no one cares?
I don't care. It's more than whatever you're going to get at one.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
I would be so terrified to be Landry Fields because this is the kind of pick that gets you fired.
Yeah.
Poor Landry.
You've got to nail this pick.
Sorry, Landry.
And I just don't know that you can.
Good Friday Night Lights character though, Landry.
I didn't watch Friday Night Lights.
Yeah,
Really?
You didn't watch it, really?
No.
He lit a
No.
car on fire for Tanya.
It's true.
Myth.
And the sheriff cop.
Stampede.
Landry is about as loyal as they get. Are you miffed and are you peeved?
Yeah.
What'd you
But I'll
miss
go
about?
last. I'll go last.
Go ahead. Well, I don't know what I'm gonna say.
Oh, okay.
so-
Well, then listen. Here's the deal. So Elvis, he made 30,
Costello.
although he was really good also. But Elvis Presley,
Okay.
for those keeping track at home, not Costello, he made 31 films as an actor.
Did he really?
He did. 31
Wow.
on the dot. I've seen 15 of them. I have 2 more available before they start charging you for Elvis films. And
Wait.
yes,
Is there like some Elvis streaming
this
platform?
is where we're getting to. This is where we're getting to. I'm miffed and also peeved that there is not, in the year of our Lord 2024, some streaming platform that just owns all 31 Elvis properties. They're spread out between Pluto and Amazon and Flickster, which I was really nervous about watching Flickster. It seemed like the cardinal sin, really. When I clicked on Flickster, I did not know what I was going to see. And I thought my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ was going to condemn me right then and there. But luckily, all I saw was Viva Las Vegas with Joe Mazzato, which was very fun. So I've seen 15.
You guys
Elvis-
have fun on the road, huh?
Oh, baby, we have fun on the road. You don't want to know what goes down in an Airbnb in the playoffs. It's a lot of coordinating. But well, you have
No way.
you have 15 Elvis movies. I have 2 more to watch, and then they start charging $4.99 on YouTube TV for Elvis movies.
Yeah.
And at that point, it's like, do I really want to continue this? Which I do,
Mm-hmm.
but like $4.40 for an Elvis movie.
What are Elvis fans called?
I don't know that we have a name.
You don't have like a,
Gracelanders, maybe.
yeah.
I just made that up. I don't know if anyone has ever said that in life.
You've been to Graceland?
I'm planning to go to Graceland, but I've not been yet.
You've never
I've never
been?
yet.
Wow.
I talked to Barry Trammell about Graceland.
I've been. Yeah,
Really?
I've been a couple times. Yeah.
I
couple
actually would
times.
love for you to go with Barry Trammell.
Oh, I would love that. And I know Barry Trammell's favorite Elvis movie.
What is it?
This is a circle of trust moment because he really entrusts me with this. He was actually embarrassed about it. So, circle of trust to everybody listening. His favorite Elvis movie is Girl Happy, which I've heard is a quality flick. But I have not seen it yet, so it does not rank on my list. But he was really nervous about liking that one.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know. I honestly I knew Elvis was obviously he's an American
He's a
icon,
king.
right? He's a
Rock
king.
and roll.
I don't think I've ever met an actual Elvis Gracelander.
Well, you have
In real
you have
life.
now.
I have now.
I have 6 Elvis movie posters
Really? Where are they?
in Lawton.
In your room?
In this office space in Lawton. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
King Creole is like his most iconic poster. But anyway, the point being, I'm miffed and peeved that there's not a Netflix, Hulu, Peacock, Paramount, which is who produced all of the movies, was Paramount Studios. They somehow don't own them on Paramount Plus, which was irritating to find out. One of them does
Private
not,
equity, probably.
exactly. One of them does not have all 31 movies.
Wow.
But that's why I'm miffed and peeved today.
Wow.
Okay. Thank you.
Are you miffed, Tayshawn?
Probably. I got some random hail damage.
Mm.
You know, have you ever been caught in some really
Yeah.
random hailstorm?
Yeah.
And you ask other people, did you get hailed on? They're like, I have no idea there's even a storm.
Yeah.
All right. I'm talking golf ball size
Yeah.
hail.
Yeah.
And I had a crack in my windshield already.
Oh no.
And it like
Oh no.
is spread now.
Oh no.
Okay.
That's no fun.
So I had Geico come out to take a look at it.
Uh-oh.
And they're like,
Did the lizard come out too, or just a human?
just the human. They keep the lizard. The lizard is,
I guess he's a gecko, but not to be offensive to lizards. Sorry.
yeah, he's a little not real. So
Really?
he wasn't there.
Wow, that just ruined my morning.
I know. I'm sorry to do that to you.
He's a little not
You
real.
owe me damages. I'm going to be charging my Dutch Bros coffee to you.
Oh,
you
Dutch
just
Dutch Bros.
ruined-
Love a Dutch Bros.
Oh yeah, who doesn't love Dutch Brothers?
I don't know. I don't know anyone that doesn't love it. I need to talk to more people about it. I think
My wife loves it.
my wife loves Dutch people.
The Dutchman.
So anyway, they won't give me they won't pay for
I'm
my
so sorry about this
glass.
pod, by the way. fellas.
No, this was
This has been great.
it's
This is-
summer, it's off season, and we had Rylan on.
Yeah.
And now I know. Going back to the meme, I wasn't familiar with your game.
I hope that's a good thing.
Yeah. I think so.
Thank
You made me laugh a lot.
That's all I can ask for.
And so anyway, they won't give me money for the windshield because there was a crack in it already, and they're like, we don't know
So
what
there
was
was
here
a
before and
pre-existing
what
crack,
wasn't.
though?
Yeah, there was a rock crack. You know,
But why wouldn't they insure that too?
they do, but I paid for cheap insurance, so I have a deductible. So I'm trying not to do it.
Oh, I got you.
So anyway, I'm a little miffed about that. So I'm just gonna have to replace it straight up. So if you have any good windshield guys,
Safe like repair. Safe like replace.
they're too expensive.
They are
Okay.
too expensive.
Not doing it. I want someone that knows, like, you know, a side street guy.
Yeah, who just has suction cups and rips it off. And
Yeah. And they have a windshield that's for a different car, but they cut it down to fit your car. That's what I want.
Wow.
How about
All
the-
right. It's been great. This has been great. Thank you so much for listening to this pod. We'll be back Monday. We should be back on a regular schedule starting next week. The NBA finals don't start until next Thursday. So a lot of off-season stuff going on between now and then. Maybe some rumors will hit
We need some rumors.
Scuttlebutt.
during this next week.
Empty in the notebooks.
So look out for some of that, I would say. And then we'll continue to talk draft. We're less than a month away from the draft, which is very exciting. The Thunder have a lottery pick. That's crazy. So that will be very fun. So we'll have more content coming at you there, and we will talk to you guys again on Monday.